It's what I see every year from them. I mean, they're very well coached, play great defense, very physical. Um um Offensive line's very well coached, very physical. Just see a very tough team. Team typical every year. I've got a lot of respect for Utah and Coach Whittingham that how he does it. Um, they're really good football team. They just came up a point short, and they've played two really good teams in Stanford and USC, and they're really good and they're really good at home. So just physical, tough, hard-nosed football team. Uh, uh, Probably the most, since I've been in the league, the most consistent team in the South. Hey, I ran that quarterback sneak for you. Did you notice that? Yeah, I thought you'd be happy about that. Uh, there's more factors than just your gut. I mean, um, you got to look and see who you're playing, your opponent, uh, kind of how you're performing, and also how you feel about you go into a game and you got a set of plays. You don't have like 10 fourth down game on the line plays that you think are going to work. You're going to have maybe three. You might have used some of them early in the game or whatever. It depends on how you feel about being able to execute the play, what type of risk that kind of where you can gauge what the risk is. Sometimes we've got plays where um, we went for it on the first fourth down. It was 4th and 1. I didn't even hesitate because I knew the play. I knew I felt like the play was going to work. It was something that we had, you know, but you're only going to get it one time. You know what I'm saying? So that has some factors in it, and then, what do you have to, your opponent has a lot to do with it too. And then the feel for it is kind of the game, kind of where you feel like where you're at in the game, so. Because it's not about, I mean, it's not just you make up your mind to be reckless. I didn't make up my mind before the game that, I was going to, make every decision that I made on fourth down. Uh, I knew going into the game, what we had to do. If you're going to beat the defending conference champion and a top 5 team in the country, you're not going to, you gotta play on the offensive. You can't be conservative. So um, that's just kind of a feel thing, but it's not just kind of whatever you're feeling at the time. There's a lot of factors that go in. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's it was a lot harder um, there at the end because the play that we ran um, was a play that we had already executed once. So there was a little bit of, they've already seen that once. Can we get it done again? And we actually didn't execute the play exactly right. From not CJ did what he was supposed to do, but we didn't execute the underneath route the way we needed to, but worked out. Yeah, Kalen was not supposed to be there. Kalen was supposed to be in the flat. So yeah, that was glad he didn't tip it. Uh, I don't know. It kind of depends on your team too. I think each team's a little bit different. What you can execute has a lot to do with how confident you are. There's times when you're calling plays um, that you're not, you don't feel like you have a lot of. You got to go into the game with a lot of good fourth down calls. I mean, even third down calls. Um, One of the things that I've always believed is that uh, you can. You, everybody kind of does the same stuff. third and 3, third and 4, whatever. And so if you do have the little bit more of a aggressive mentality, you can break some of those tendencies. You know what I'm saying? Make yourself a little bit more harder to defend. But I probably was. I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. I mean, you want to win Pac-12, you got to have championship defense, and so that's kind of defense you got to play. And so I think it showed our guys what the potential was, and so much of it wasn't just. I think it was a mindset. It was just the mindset that our kids took and how they practiced and how they prepared and going out there and performing. And so, and we put our, I told them that we were going to defer and we want to play defense first, and we were going to, we want a championship. We got to go out and play championship defense. So we did. I think that gave us a lot of confidence and show what we're capable of. What do you mean by that? Good job. About it. Now we on to Utah. We spent a lot of time together as a staff. I mean, and matter of fact, I thought it was a team effort that did a great job. There were things we did. We ran 42 plays on offense. A lot of people don't, like, right before the half. I'm really involved in the management of the time and things like that, because I was like, we need to run this clock out and minimize the snaps. And so just playing 20 snaps the first half was big. But no, I mean, he did. I told him they did a great job. But we weren't. We thought we could do well. I mean, we felt good about our guys and confident. But we talk about, like, after the game. I mean, obviously we were celebrating the win, but we're pretty quickly moving on to Utah. But we just talked about the things that we got accomplished. We talked about, we took a massive step forward as far as, the confidence that we're playing defense with, and we found some things. I think a big thing was what we did with our personnel. I think, obviously Renell Wren played outstanding. George played really well. I think we had our front dominated, and I think it had a lot to do. JoJo was phenomenal at the end. That was a big move for us that helped us. And then we talk about, okay, what are the things that we did? Where did we improve? Where do we need to continue to improve? Those are the things that we talk. Most of our conversations are like that. We've been doing it for a long time, so it's not a lot of not a lot of emotion for very long, because you don't have time. You have to go to the next game. Yeah, you have to. I mean, if you're going to be an emotional team, you're not going to be a championship team. And so, it's just a dog eat dog world, being in this conference. And so you have to, we pretty quickly, we coached them pretty hard yesterday. We were there was a whole bunch of things on the film that we can do a whole lot better. And so we talked about those things, and the kids were really good. We got a veteran team too. I mean, the guys have been here for a while, and they know that. But it didn't matter what you did last week. You got to go to the next week, and we're going on the road to Utah, which is one of the more challenging places to play in our league, against a team that our guys have a tremendous respect for because of the physicality that they play the game with. So, you got to move on to the next game. I think really early on it was trying to get the best guys on the field, and with Crump there in the type of camp that AJ had, we felt like AJ's proved that. I mean, he's been pretty good player. He's I think he leads our team in sacks and up there in TFLs. And so I think that probably it was probably a personnel deal more than anything. And then just his development, learning the system, learning what he's doing, being dependable to do it, and just getting experience. And then I kind of felt like once we lost Crump, then we you started really. I kind of just logically we started looking at it, like, hey, if we really just didn't have to think about anybody else, AJ's a devil. Obviously with Crump's here, he's not going to play in front of Crump. But when Crump hurt, we felt like he was a devil. Felt like JoJo started for 2 years at or 2 or 3 years, whatever it is, at the end, and Tayshawn had started his entire career at 3. Then let's get those guys back where maybe their home position is, and then let's see if we can get somebody to step up in there. And he really did some things in the game that he really stepped up to a different level. And then so did George. George did some nice things too. So I think that was a big deal, and as well as some of the things that Coach Bennett did schematically helped. I think we got a lot better at our stems, what I call stems, disguising and showing and not coming, and when we don't look like we're coming, and pressuring sometimes with 4, and it looks like we're bringing 6, things like that. We did a lot of things like that I thought were really good. And then I'll tell you, man, I mean, Kobe Williams played his best game. I thought he was I thought he was a dominant corner on the field, and that was exciting to watch. And so our coverage was really good. I mean, we did some different things there that really worked out good for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was. I think the block punt was a play of the game. Special teams. We said we had to win special teams. I think Ryan did a great job for us, returning the punts and fielding the punts. And then our coverage did a good job. We kicked a couple of them right at him. That one of them was pretty scary, but thought we did our guys did a great job of covering and getting down the field. Thought Jamarcus Rhodes did a great job of covering. Because that was he's probably the best punt returner in the league. And then you got this where you go on the next. These guys got special teams is a big deal this week because these guys are arguably the best in the league at it. So we've pride ourselves in the special teams to get it back on track was positive, and we got to have a big week this week as well. Oh, they played great. I think they've played. I think DJ has really elevated his game tremendously. Christian and him both. I mean, you can look at. I think Christian leads the league in tackles, and DJ's not far behind. But just getting our defense lined up and making the calls, and there's just a maturity about those guys that it's kind of they don't. They're kind of the heart of the defense, So got a lot of experience out there. I think that helps, but I do think that those guys have gotten a lot better. So I think they're playing at a really high level. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I don't know if he is. He's moving better. I think he's in better shape, is what I'd tell you. I think all of our guys are in better shape and we really made an emphasis throughout camp to condition and do some things a little bit differently. But got a lot of experience. I mean, you look in there and you see DJ and Christian and JoJo and Tayshawn. I mean, there's a lot of experience out there on that field, and I think that's helped. But those guys, I thought, played really well. I mean, defensively, there wasn't anybody that I didn't think played well. Yeah, I think. The big thing that we have, we want to. There's just really, it's not real complicated. You want to own the ball. You want to make sure that you have great ball security on offense, and you want to get takeaways. So obviously, we need to get more takeaways. But in that game, we got the ball out. I And we sacked the quarterback, got the ball on the ground. We just didn't get them. We had a couple opportunities for interceptions that had to do with pressure, and sometimes it had to do with coverage. But we did confuse the quarterback. So, I thought we really made dramatic improvement there. And then with the negatives, I mean, we want to win negatives. So penalties the first thing. We had one penalty. So that was, I think our guys are buying into the discipline it takes to do that. And then TFLs and sacks, because TFLs and sacks are going to impact, point number one and taking the ball away from them. So one of the things since we had lost Crump, we were concerned about that. And so to sack them 5 times and to have, I think, 7 or 8 TFLs was something that we need to continue to do. And then score and explosives. And there's a lot of fundamental things that we did wrong that we should have scored more points. And even though, they're a really, really good defense and a really good football team, we could have scored more points. And so there's lots of things we can do to get better. We focused on those yesterday, but that's the thing we got to continue to get better on is win the number one thing, and that's owning the ball each week. B plus in that category is the key. Yeah. Pretty much statistically, they're 1 and 2 in most of the defensive stuff. They're so big. I think they're real similar inside. Their defensive tackles are big, huge, physical guys. Give Washington's guys a lot of credit now. Those guys are, 50, I think, is probably as good as defensive tackle there is in the country. 99's not far behind him. They're going to have similar type guys. They're going to be really, really solid up the middle of their defense and obviously run well. And they just play. I told our coaches the other day they hadn't been here. I said, these guys are – I just got a lot of respect for Kyle because obviously he's a defensive-minded guy. But they've always, every year that I've played them, you look at the film and say, man, these guys are solid. They're well coached. But in person – these guys just play really, really, really hard, which tells you a lot about their training and a lot about the type of team that they have. So they're a team that's built. They build it. They're going to win on defense, special teams. And obviously, they got talent. They got a lot of talent on offense. They got really good receivers. I think they're better there than they were last year at receiver. They got 3 really talented backs that are very, diverse in their skill set. And I really think their offensive line really has stuck out to me. I've been spending a lot of time today on that, and I just think they're really well coached on their offensive line. I'm very, very impressed with, because I'm going like, well, man, I think they had 3 or 4 of those guys drafted last year, and so I'm going like, well, it's, surely they won't be as good as they were last year on that, and then you watch them and you go, hey, guys looks pretty close to the same, so. They're doing a great job. They're a really well-coached football team and a team that's has a lot of heart and character. The MVP of the defense. I don't know. That's hard to tell. I couldn't pick one. Man, there's I don't know. I'd pick every one of them last week. Well, get everybody to go to Salt Lake City. No, I tell you that's one of the tough things is playing on the road, winning on the road, and our home field advantage here has everything to do with our crowd, and what a great that was an electric atmosphere. It was awesome. Going on the road, man, you just got to be twice as focused. You got to be twice as disciplined. You're just not going to have you have a few fans, but it's pretty much a hostile environment, and so you just can't be you got to be focused. You can't be distracted, and so that's why you can't and then you can't let have things happen momentum-wise that lets the crowd get into the game. There's Utah's a place that's very difficult to play because their fans are do a pretty good job.
In regards to the penalties and trying to lower that, the discipline aspect of it, is it the players you recruit, or how do you go about teaching that discipline?
Just education, really. I mean, our guy, we were obviously in recruiting. We're going to recruit kids that fit our program. Character, smart, discipline, tough. I mean, they got to value their academics. They got to value being smart as one of their top attributes. You know, we want them to be fast and strong and talented and all that too. So, it's more education. We educate our players and every single day we have officials at practice. It's probably a lot of people probably don't do that. We coach it, and we harp on it. And it's not because one you should go by the rules because but it helps you win. I mean, my whole deal is that I just don't want negative plays. I hate working to execute a play, and then somebody get a penalty and it's called back. I don't like that. So it's too hard to get positive plays than to just be careless with things. And so much of it is kind of like staying up with the interpretation of the rules, and because the rules every year it's constantly evolving, and then how is it officiated? Because you could read the rule book. It's kind of like in basketball. If you have the same officials, you get to kind of know how they call fouls. Are they going to let them play, or they're not going to let them play? You know, there's so much subjectivity in that. And so for our players to know exactly how they're officiating it, exactly what they're looking for are things that we work really hard on. So most of it's education. Most of it's just and it's just you get whatever you emphasize. You know what I mean? And so that's why I think that it's just something you got to constantly stay on top of. So our guys have done pretty well with it.